Here, just to give you an idea about Pakistan's labor laws, here I would like to share 3 scenarios before I end my talk. The first, I would like to talk about the existing labor laws of Pakistan requiring improvement in the light of international labor laws. And then the second one would be Pakistani labor laws and the improvements recommended in the light of Sharia. And the third would be the gaps where labor laws exist but execution is not there, so that we could have a better understanding of whole idea and one could implement them. Dear audience, if we look at the improving Pakistani labor laws in the light of international existing laws, so I would say that Pakistani contract labor law allows distinguished employment relationship, enabling employers to evade responsibilities that international standards required them to assume. This is one gap. Then the job security provision lack substantive justification standards and effective remedies, making dismissal protections weaker than international benchmarks. Although collective bargaining is legally recognized, procedural barriers and fear of retaliation significantly reduce workers' real negotiating powers in Pakistani environment. Then the social security laws remain tied to formal registration, excluding large segment of dependents and informal workers from the protection. So one should be making laws about it. Then the legal framework focuses on compensation after injury, but fails to provide adequate prevention, rehabilitation, and timely payment mechanism. These are areas where international labor laws, they are much better than Pakistani labor laws, and Pakistan need to work on these areas. Then there's apprenticeship laws permit low or unpaid labor and offer insufficient safeguards for genuine skills development compared to international standards. Then regulations on working hours and leave exist, but suffers from weak enforcement and poor record keeping in commercial sector. Labor inspection laws formally exist, but lack risk-based targeting, transparency and accountability, written in justification and clear appeal rights. And disciplinary rules do not fully meet international due process standards, such as progressive discipline and other aspects. These were some of the areas where we see that Pakistani labor laws can improve in the light of existing international laws. Now, let us talk about the Pakistani labor law in the light of Sharia labor principles. The contract labor arrangements enable employers to evade moral responsibilities, contradicting Islamic prohibition against deception and unjust enrichment. So this should be introduced and propagated in the Pakistani labor law. And then termination power lack ethical restraint and violating Sharia principles of justice and fairness in authority. Another aspect is legal recognition of union exists, but Islamic principles require meaningful consultation rather than merely a formal or symbolic worker representation in those unions for factories. Exclusion of informal worker from old age benefits undermines Islamic emphasis on dignity and security after work life. And then there is another aspect, which is excessive working hours conflict with Islamic teachings that recognize the human body's right to rest and protection from the harms. Weak inspection system fails to uphold the Islamic concept of accountability, where authority is treated as trust in Islam. Another last aspect is disciplinary procedures allow humiliation and arbitrariness, contrary to Islamic requirement of dignity, restraint, and proportional justice. So here, Pakistan's labor laws can be improved in the light of Sharia law.